So this is going to be a review on my Opinel n.08 Carbone. Now normally I like to own a knife a little bit longer before doing a review on it, just so that I have some extensive use with it and everything. I've only had this knife for about 2 weeks, but I think I can review it because I've used this knife such a lot, just because I get a lot of enjoyment out of actually using this knife. So first of all, this is like a $15 knife. I picked it up at Cabela's. You can probably get it cheaper than that on Amazon, but I paid like $15 for it. The n.08 is kind of like a medium-sized Opinel. They have bigger ones, they have smaller ones. This one's a pretty good size for an EDC knife, in my personal opinion. Some people might like a little bit smaller blade. I think a lot of people probably aren't going to like a bigger blade than this. But it's a fairly large blade, which for me, I like bigger EDC knives anyway, so I'm cool with that. The cool thing about this knife is how inexpensive it is and how well it works. The blade is really thin, and it's a full flat grind, so it's really good at slicing things. I've used this to cut peaches. I've cut a tomato with it. I've used it for a lot of like food prep stuff, and it's really good at that. That's one of the best things about this knife, is how good it is at food prep kind of stuff, because of how thin that blade is. So it's really good at that. That being said, this blade is carbon, so it's going to corrode. I keep a little light coat of vegetable oil on this blade, because vegetable oil is food safe and will also protect the steel from rusting. But as you can see, there's some corrosion around where the blade meets the wooden grips, probably from my sweat and stuff. But yeah. So anyway, this is a pretty basic knife. It's got a wooden handle, a carbon steel blade. It's got this cool locking collar thing here. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. It's got this cool locking collar. Right now it's locked. You twist this over, and then you can fold it, and when you pull the blade out, all you gotta do is twist this off, and it locks it open. So it's a really simple locking mechanism, and it's actually, I found, really fun to play with, at least for me. It's not like a flipper knife or anything that's incredibly fast to like flip out or anything, but I do find it to be really fun to play with for whatever reason. Yeah, so this knife, I've used it for a variety of things: opening boxes, other containers, food preparation, like I said, slicing peaches and like a tomato, and I think I cut up some like scrapple with it too. But yeah, so for food prep, it's awesome. For anything slicing related, it's awesome. I've cut cardboard with it. I've pretty much done all the things that most people use their EDC knife for with this knife, which is why I feel confident reviewing it. And this knife is really good at pretty much all those things. Now, since this is a little bit thinner blade, you obviously can't, beat the crap out of it, but it's a friggin' folding pocket knife. Most people aren't going to beat the crap out of their folding pocket knives anyway. The locking mechanism, I don't know how strong it is. I would think that it's probably pretty strong, and I certainly haven't had any issues with it. One of the cooler things about these newer Opinels, I don't think the older ones have this, but they actually have a way that when you fold the blade, you can actually lock the blade closed. See, now that's locked closed, so the blade won't come open in your pocket, which is pretty cool. But anyway, so I haven't had, any issues with this knife in use or anything. It's really lightweight, which is cool. If you're one of those people who really cares about weight, this knife is really lightweight. I didn't weigh it or anything, but compared to most knives, it's just really light. And I believe that's just because it has a wooden handle with no liners or anything. Pretty much the only metal pieces really are the blade, and then there's like a collar with a pin through it to hold the blade in place, and then the rotating locking collar here. So this knife is incredibly lightweight, you know, which is cool for people who care about that kind of stuff. I'm not really that weight conscious when it comes to the stuff I carry every day, just because I carry so much stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you're somebody who really cares about ounces, this knife is really lightweight. You know, for the price of $15, I don't honestly think you can get a knife much better than this for that price point. And I just really like it. I really like this design. As some of you may know, one of my favorite knives is the Case Sodbuster. And this is another one of those knives that fits into that whole category of just classic design knives. And I have this weird attraction to knives that are just classic designs. I think because of how simple they are and how easy they are to use and everything, and how they're so like non-threatening to people. Because, you know, there's people out there who are not into knives who feel threatened and shit by pocket knives, which is ridiculous in my opinion. But, you know, there's people like that. And if you pull out a knife like this with, you know, a wooden handle and shit, it's a lot less likely to be threatening to somebody than if you pull out like a fucking, I don't know, a Benchmade with like a flipper or something like that. You know, it's just a lot less threatening to the everyday person, I guess I'll say. But anyway, so if you're looking for a really like cheap knife that is going to work really well, check out Opinel. You know, they're made in France. They're not made in China. I don't have any experience with the inox blade ones. I only have experience with this carbon one here. And, you know, I honestly really love this knife. I'll probably continue to keep it in my EDC, you know, rotation. I'll carry it occasionally because I really do like it. I would definitely recommend this knife. $15, I don't think you're going to get a better knife.